Hello there. In this video I wanted to cover how you can get closer with your developers, closer with your engineers as a designer, and I think one of the easiest ways to do it, and it's free, is to go into your browser, whatever your browser of choice is. In this instance I'm using Chrome, and I would want to go in and check out the developer tools. So let's do that today. Okay, so I'm in Chrome. I'm going to go to the help section first, which is one of the options along the top. I'm going to type in, I've already kind of half typed in developer, and as you can see on the screen I can go to developer tools just here, which the keyboard shortcut is Command Option and I. So I'm just going to click off Command Option I. Now that opens up a sidebar, and let's just explore some of these basics. So as a designer, how can this be useful and what will this help me with? So as you can see, when I hover the mouse over different lines of code, you can see it's highlighting things in the left panel. So what I'm going to do is you can click on the Select an Element tool here. I'm going to click on that, and now just hovering around with the mouse you can get information about the web page that you're on. I'm just going to make this a little bit wider so you can drag out the screen here, and as you can see in the top right hand corner it's telling you what the viewport size is. So currently we're at 980 by 777. You can kind of drag it around to whatever you feel would fit your screen. So let's leave it about there. So let's continue to explore around the page. So I'm using Google as an example. You can use any website. And now I'm hovering over these buttons. So on the right hand side, as you can see, it's highlighted the section of code that this is relevant to. And on the left, just above where I have selected the Google search button, it's given me some of the information. So we've got a class name of the element at the top. We've got a background color. We've got margin. We've got padding. And then we've got some extra information below to do with accessibility. I'm going to click on it. So now I've clicked it, you can see the left hand kind of options have disappeared, but now it's selected these lines of code here, and as you can see when I hover on and off the code, that's relevant to that button. Now going down here we're on styles, and now I'm going to try and increase this a little bit so we can see. So this gives us more information about the button. So it's given me the background color. So I can turn that on and off, and as you can see, it actually impacts how the page looks. It's given me information about the border. So there's a border, it's 1 pixel, it's a solid border, and that's the color of it. It's got a border radius of 4 pixels, and it's also given me some additional font family, font size, and so on. So this is really useful information, and this is the type of information that the developer is going to be using when he's building your designs. So the more you understand of how the code is structured, if there's any limitations, or even just basics of HTML and CSS, this will help you work better with the developer, because you'll be able to speak a very similar language. So when they're talking to you and they say, okay, I'm using a background color of this, or I'm using a border radius of this, or the padding is this, you can understand what the padding is, what the line height is. Some of these you may know anyway as a designer, but margin and padding, maybe you don't know what this is. So let's go to a different section here. We can go to computed, and I'm just going to click on that again. So we've gone into the computed tab, and this is giving you more of a visualization of the different levels of the element that we've selected. So we can see that on the outside we've got a margin, and on the top there's 11 pixels, on the right there's 4 pixels. We go within that, we've got a border, and that border is, as you can see, it's 1 pixel. And then on the inside, the padding, there's none on the top and the bottom, but on the right and on the left there's 16. I think from memory, if you want to change these things, you can double click with the mouse. Say I added 24 at the top, and I pressed enter. As you can see, the padding on the left hand side has changed. You can't see the button now because I've messed up the design. But now if I go in here, if I use the up and down arrows, you can see that the code above is slowly changing, and also on the actual web page itself, the button is now coming back into focus and we can see it better. So I'm just going to reset that to 0. I'm going to hit enter and that's done. Let's go back to styles again. So I'm going to click on select an element again. So clicked on that. Let's click on the button up here. So we've got some basic information again about the background, margin, padding, all useful stuff. Okay, so now I've selected that element. The code has been selected here. I'm going to scroll down a little bit and I want to go to the background color. Now what you can do when you're in this developer mode is you can change some of these elements and it will reflect those changes on the left hand side here. So say for example I wanted to update this background color. Maybe we changed our button color. I'm going to click on that color here on this box, left click. It opens up the color picker. So we can input our hex code, we've got the opacity here, we've also got different colors here, and as you can see, as I'm cycling through these colors, the hex code is changing, the button itself on the left hand side in the preview, that is changing as well, and when I click off, that's now changed. It obviously hasn't changed the live page because we're in a developer mode, so if I press Command R on a Mac, it'll refresh the page again and reset any of the changes that we've made whilst in this developer mode. So let's select an element again. I'm going to click on the text. This is giving me more information about the text. Again, the same thing applies here. So you can click on the color. We've got RGBA here. You can obviously change that if you want to go to hex codes. I'm going to change this to create something that's a bit brighter and that will stand out. That looks terrible, but it's fine. You can see the change. So Gmail and images are now this limey kind of green. What's also really useful here is it's telling me that it's failing the contrast ratios for accessibility. So this is really useful to see as well. So I'm going to click off. Those changes are there. If I want to get rid of them, I could go back here. I think I can press Command Z. Yeah, that does it. Edit, undo, or you could press Command R on a Mac just to refresh the page. It reloads everything and refreshes it. So why would you use this as a designer? So this is really going to help you understand how the code is structured, what the developers are going to be doing on their side, and the types of things that they'll be using in terms of padding, margin, font weights, line heights, things like that. And also you get to know these terms that they're using, and the more familiar you are with them, the easier it is to communicate between design and developer. So it just brings you a little bit closer. You don't have to learn how to code. I'm sure in an ideal world every developer would love it if a designer could code, but that's not the case, and that's not why a designer got into design. We didn't get into this to learn how to code, but I think it's super important to understand how pages are structured, how code is written, how you as a designer could go in to inspect or preview, because I'm sure there'll be occasions where developers will give you a staging environment or a test environment to show you what they've built. So you've given them a design, they've gone away and built it, and now they're sending you a preview for you to have a look at. And using developer tools in your browsers is a really useful way of kind of ironing out any issues. So you'll be able to go into your developer tools, kind of click around, and then maybe you'll notice that, okay, the padding's off here. It shouldn't be 20 around this element, it should be 24. Or you might notice the border is wrong, or the color is wrong on a button. And you'll be able to quickly use these tools in the browser, and they'll help you identify some of these issues that you may come across. Anyway, that's it for this video today. I hope it was helpful for you. Go and have a play. All these tools are free, so whether it's Firefox, Chrome, Edge, whatever it is, they all have a developer mode. So go in, discover it, see how you can manipulate a web page. You're not going to do anything destructive. So go ahead, play around with it, break the page. It doesn't matter because you can just refresh it afterwards and it goes back to normal. So that's it for this video. Like and subscribe, add some comments, and I will see you in the next video.